Hi guys, it's time for a new episode on the XRV. I just got home this afternoon. I've been working in southern Norway this week, close to Oslo. And today it's Friday the 13th of March, but it's basically Christmas Eve because I came home to some packages. Parts. Okay. I also got new tires. These are awesome tires, I think. These are the Dunlop Trailmax Mission. I also got the man flu when I was working in southern Norway for some reason. So I'm just going to chill tonight. And tonight we are having homemade pizza for supper. So that's going to be awesome.
Dads that add up to a good riding safe motorcycle. In the last video we addressed a lot of...
Good morning guys. I'm back at the shop. And I'm going to start with replacing the exhaust valves. I got the new ones from Japan. As some of you may know, I removed the valves to replace the valve stem seals and to check them. And I ended up grinding the exhaust valves because one of them was a little knocked. But it turned out that you should not grind the exhaust valves because they were coated with a stellite coating of some sort to make it harder. So that was a bummer, but I got the new ones, so that will be mint. And I also got the new seals for the shift shaft and the counter shaft, so I'm going to continue with installing them. And then I will install the heads and the cylinders. So let's start. There you go. So let's just repeat that with the other head. So the next thing I'm going to do is to install the seals, and I'm going to tape off the edges here to avoid damaging the seal. It's actually pre-lubed by Honda. That's cool. And just slide it over. That was easy to fit. Yeah, that's good. And then I can install the seal retainer. So now I'm going to install the cylinder, but I just felt that there was a little height difference here. So I'm going to add just a tad of sealant just here. Probably not necessary, but I'm doing it anyways. That's way too much. I'm going to remove most of it. Okay, so the important thing now is that the end gaps of the piston rings are not all above each other. So I'm going to turn them so the gaps are on different places. Where is the gap on the oil ring? Okay, it's there and there, okay, like so, and like just going to check that the seal clips are in the pistons. I haven't had them off, but still okay to check, and also check that the guide pins are where they are supposed to be. So now I'm going to install the cylinder. Just lube it up. And I'm also going to lube the piston. Let's just guide this chain in here.
One hour later.
So I had to swap around the cylinders because this water outlet had to be here, but that's okay because I was kind of unsure what cylinder was number 1 and number 2, or front and rear, because this one was marked, this one was marked with number 2, so I thought that it was supposed to be the rear cylinder, but that was not the case. And as for the other parts, all these parts were in the same box that was marked with an F for front, and you can see here the camshaft is also marked with an F. That means that all these parts are for the front cylinder head. As you can see, the cylinder heads also have marks. This is the rear head, not rear, and this is the front. It's an F there. So now I know that all these parts are for the correct head, and the cylinders are also back with the same piston as they have been since new. So that's a good feeling, because I have been worrying a little bit about that since since I didn't take this engine apart myself. I always like to get parts back together where they originally sat or came from. So that's okay. Just going to check that this surface here is still clean. I'm going to wipe off the surface here just to see that there's no debris here. It looks okay. So the camera went dead, I'm not sure when, so I'm just going to repeat a few steps here. So I installed the cylinder head and the cam chain tensioner. First I forgot the rubber cushion here, so I had to take it apart or loosen the screws and just put it down and retighten the screws. And I also reset the tensioner, just pushing with an extension towards it and grabbing the smaller wedge here. So now I'm going to install the cam, and the important thing here is to keep the chain tight on the non-tensioned side, so all the slack will be on the tension side, and this can be a bit fiddly to predict how it's all going to be when you tighten it down eventually. So I have already lubed here, but just a little extra here. And the cam lobes must be facing downwards. That's correct, it has to be correct, I think. Yeah. Valve train, or just putting these in, or this one in temporary at first. So once again, checking that the dowel pins are here. So now I'm going to repeat the same procedure for the rear cylinder. So I have to turn the crankshaft to the RT mark and then just do the same procedure. Yep. So it's time to adjust the valves. I've checked the timing now several times, and the thing is, if you have an engine that is basically used, and this one has like 54,000 kilometers, the chain will stretch a little and things will wear, so you will never be able to get the timing marks 100% perfect. But if you try to move the sprocket one tooth, you will see that it will be way off. So it won't be perfect. You can see this line here should be flush with the edge here, and it's not perfect on, it's a little below on this side, but it's still correct, so nothing to worry about. If you get unsure about this, that's just the way it is. And also, when you adjust the valves, you don't necessarily have to have the timing marks perfectly aligned. As long as they are ish there, then you are good to go. Many people wonder how much force should you have on the feeler gauge, and I have this simple rule that I used to tell people. This is a roll with masking tape, and if you just hold it like this and you pull it off, the force or the friction you feel here, that's about the friction I like to have between the feeler gauge and the tappets, or yeah, whatever. So this is the exhaust valve, and usually the exhaust clearance is always bigger than the inlet because there's more heat on the exhaust side, so you have to have more clearance because the parts will expand when they get hot. So you stick it, and this is a little loose if you ask me. I'm sure there's a special tool for holding the adjuster, but I don't have that, so I will just have to try. That's perfect. The clearance is 0.20 on the exhaust, plus minus 200s, and on the intake it's 0.15 plus minus 200s. Like so. I'm doing it maybe a little too thoroughly, but that's because it's just 6 valves in total, so it doesn't take that much time, even if you're doing it a little too thorough. Okay, so the valves are adjusted and the timing is where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to squirt some oil on everything here. One last thing, if you want to measure how much wear you have on the chain and on the chain tensioner, this is not supposed to protrude more than 6 millimeters, and this is at around 4, a little under 4, so yeah, just so you know. Okay guys, the clock is now 10 in the evening, and I'm done with the engine. I fitted the new rubber boots on the inlet, and I got the wires all placed correct here. So everything is done. And I also went back home and got the bike in the trailer and got it down to the workshop. So I have been cleaning it a little because it was very dirty. and now it's ready for getting the engine in the frame. And I've also started preparing a little other stuff, the new radiators and new hoses. And I also cleaned the carbs, not on the outside but on the inside. So I guess we are ready to install the engine, and the plan is to get that done tomorrow. Hopefully maybe we can start it if we get that far. We'll just have to see. So that's it for today. See you tomorrow. Ciao. Good morning, guys. It's now Sunday morning, and I'm going to start putting the engine back in the frame, or at least try to do so, because I know that it's a very tight fit. And I remember on my other XRV that I had the stator cover and the flywheel removed when I took it out of the frame, because I found out that it made it much easier. But I know it's supposed to be possible to get it out without doing so, or without removing one of the cylinder head covers. So I'm going to use the crane out in the workshop, and maybe a jack also, just to see if I can maneuver it in place. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to clean up a little in this room and take the bike in here, and then continue putting it back together. And hopefully by the end of the day I can maybe try to fire it up. So I just went to the gas station and got some gas. That's sorted. So okay. So let's continue. Okay guys, the engine is back in the frame. I first tried to lift it in from the side, but it just seemed so difficult. So I decided to do as I've heard many others have done, and just lay the bike down and drop the engine in the frame. And that seemed much easier and went pretty fine. I then just loosely mounted these brackets here and this one, so that the engine would align somewhat. And then I raised it back up, because if you're trying to install the rear mount here, the large bolt that goes through the swing arm, if you're going to align both the swing arm and the engine at the same time, that's just very difficult. So if you have these mounts loosely on, it's much easier, and it went in pretty easy, the rear bolt here. So that I would say it went pretty smooth. So the clock is now 12, and I'm going to continue mounting up everything. So I hope I will be able to start it up today, but I won't rush it just to do it. I want to do it properly and tighten all the engine mounts with torque and everything. So let's just continue.
2 hours later.
So, second attempt, the fuel pump didn't work. I had wired up the old fuel pump because the new fuel pump had 2 millimeter too small diameter on the out and inlet. So the hoses were so loose, so I just decided to use the old pump because I had tested it, but it didn't work. It did spark and everything, but just didn't deliver any fuel. So I took the new pump and just fitted it and put some hose clamps on it. And I also had to take the connector from the OEM pump and put it on the new pump. For now it's just temporary. So now I'm hoping that it will get some fuel. And we'll just have to give it a go. It's dripping fuel here. I hope the battery will last because I have turned a lot here. So I have to end this episode now. I hope this haven't been too boring for you guys, and I really hope to see you in the next episode where I will be finishing off the bike and also taking it for its first test ride. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to like and subscribe as always. So until next time, we are out.